Hey guys, things are weird right now. So instead of doing notes in person like we would normally do, we're gonna do them online. How exciting. Okay, we are getting ready to start reading Romeo and Juliet. Um, I'm sure you've heard about it. If not, get out from under your rock. Get out a piece of paper. We're taking some notes. This is pre-reading stuff. The stuff, if you know it, it's gonna make it a whole lot easier for you to understand what you're reading while you're reading. Okay, first things first, setting Verona, Italy, 1405, aka a stupid long time ago in a land far, far away. There's no electricity, there's no cars, there's no guns, there's nothing. No, there's nothing. Yeah, I hope you are writing. This video is going to be super awkward the whole time because that's just how I roll. Okay, the Capulets. The family of our leading lady, Juliet. So obviously, Juliet's parents are Lady Capulet and Capulet. Self-explanatory. Put those two together, you get Juliet. Tybalt, one of the guys that we're going to see in this play, is Juliet's cousin. And that's going to be super important for you to remember later, because spoiler alert, someone kills Tybalt, and it doesn't go pretty. Okay, they're friends, Samson, Gregory, and the nurse. Samson and Gregory are not super important. They're only really in the beginning, but you'll need to keep them straight there. And the nurse is like Juliet's nanny. So Juliet, I'll post pictures of those by the way, is 13. You're older than Juliet, which is insane if you think about it, given all the crazy crap that they do. Okay, Montagues. Lady Montague and Montague, you add those together, you get Romeo. So Romeo is their child. He is 17 years old, going after a 13-year-old, which is gross. Okay, their friends are Benvolio, Mercutio, Abraham, and Balthazar. Abraham and Balthazar are not that important, but Benvolio and Mercutio play key roles, so you're going to need to know whose side they're on during this whole thing. Okay, I'll post a picture of this one too, and you need to write this stuff down. And the good thing about a video is that if I'm going too fast, you can pause it. Okay, something you need to know is that the Capulets and the Montagues freaking hate each other, okay? I don't know if you guys have seen West Side Story. That's based on Romeo and Juliet. It's like the Montagues are a gang and the Capulets are a gang, right? So there's a lot of like gang rivalry going on between them. So if Juliet Capulet and Romeo Montague wanted to get together, that would not be okay. Both of their families would say, heck to the no. So it's important for you to remember throughout this whole thing while you're reading that even if they were of an appropriate age, even if there weren't other things going on preventing them from being together, that just the fact that they have these names means no. Okay, so you already know that this whole play is about Romeo and Juliet trying to get together. What you probably don't know is there's a few other people trying to get with these people as well. So at the beginning of the play, Romeo has got his eyes on another lady who's not Juliet. Her name is Rosalind, and the whole reason Romeo ends up at the party where he meets Juliet is because he's going to go see Rosalind. But then he finds out that Rosalind wants to be a nun and therefore can't get married and can't, you know. So he drops Rosalind like a hot potato, and then across the room, who does he see? He sees Juliet, and it's all downhill from there. Meanwhile, Juliet is already engaged to this Paris guy. Juliet's parents really want her to marry this Paris guy because he's rich, he's a nobleman, he's of good status. He would be like the perfect person for Juliet to marry to help her family establish themselves. Okay, so Juliet's parents have already promised Paris that Juliet would marry him, and they're planning on getting married in a week. Remember that she's 13. So Juliet's getting ready to marry Paris. Romeo sees Juliet across the room. Romeo approaches Juliet, and it's like that whole love at first sight bullcrap. Yeah, that doesn't exist. It's fine. So, long story short, Romeo and Juliet decide that they need to hurry up and get married before Juliet has to marry Paris. Because if Juliet marries Paris and then marries Romeo, her marriage to Romeo wouldn't be legit. And that is not what they want. So they meet, and then 3 days later, the 13-year-old and the 17-year-old are getting married. When Romeo and Juliet decide that they're ready to get married, they go pay a visit to Friar Lawrence. Pretty much all you need to know about him is that he's a priest and that he's an enabler for all the bad decisions that these teenagers are making throughout this whole play. So Friar Lawrence is a priest that marries Romeo and Juliet. And he also does some other things, which we'll get to later. Okay. Romeo and Juliet get married. Everyone's happy. Immediately after that, Juliet goes home. Romeo goes out into the square to party with his buddies. Remember that Mercutio is Romeo's friend. Romeo and Mercutio are over there chatting it up when all of a sudden Tybalt, who keep in mind is Juliet's cousin, shows up. Now Tybalt is pretty fighty, and so is Mercutio. So Tybalt and Mercutio go at it. Tybalt kills Mercutio. Now Juliet's cousin has killed Romeo's friend. Romeo is not happy. So Romeo is like, you know what? Screw you, Tybalt. And then they fight, and Romeo kills Tybalt. Then, because of the murder that he just committed, Romeo gets exiled. So Romeo is sent out of Verona, and Juliet has no idea. So they just got married literally that morning, and then that afternoon, Romeo is exiled, and if he comes back to Verona, he's going to be killed. So Romeo has been exiled from Verona, right? Right. So when Juliet receives word that her husband has been exiled and her cousin has been killed, she goes to Friar Lawrence, because remember her wedding with Paris is still on, and she begs him to do something to help her out. So he gives her the sleeping potion that makes her look dead. So when she drinks the potion, she looks dead. She's not really dead. She's gonna wake up in a couple of days, right? Okay. She lays down in bed. She drinks the potion. The next morning, her nurse and her mama find her. They freak out. They're sad. They have a funeral. Her husband-to-be Paris is grieving. And long story short, they put her in the family tomb. Now, Friar Lawrence was supposed to tell Romeo that Juliet isn't really dead. He fails to do that. So Romeo thinks that Juliet's real dead when she's really just fake dead. So Romeo comes back, he goes in the tomb, he sees Juliet's dead, and so he drinks some poison. Downs it right there. Dies right next to Juliet's dead body. And then what happens? Well, Juliet wakes up. So Romeo's just drank the poison. He's dead. Juliet, in desperation, pretty much, wants to die too. Because now that Romeo's dead, obviously she has no reason for living. Because what else is there in life? So she kisses Romeo's lips to try to get some of the poison. It doesn't work. So what does she do? She stabs herself until she dies. And she dies right there on top of Romeo. And it's sad. It's unfortunate, really. So then both sets of parents show up for some reason. They shake hands and they're like, our feud is over. And that's the end.